But other than that happening in New York, the biggest drama in New York, from my perspective right now, is Summer House. And I did record this obviously a week before it is coming out. So at this point, only part 1 of the reunion has come out. There's 3 parts. And part 2 will have already dropped by the time this is out. So what I am about to share is really based on my thoughts on part 1. Now, if you don't know the Summer House drama, I'm going to link in my show notes my short clip on the Summer House drama so you can catch up, because I'm not re-explaining the chaos. There's too much that has happened. But I kid you not, I feel like this has taken over New York City. There's watch parties happening all over the city. It's all over my social media feeds. I swear to God, any content creator, podcast host, whoever who works in pop culture in New York is talking about this and posting about this. It feels like the Super Bowl of reality TV, if you don't mind me doing a sports analogy. And, this is really why I love reality TV. I love a specific reality TV, but this is why. And it's the relationship dynamics you get to see in real time. And I think it really makes you reflect on your own life. And it kind of just feels like you're sitting there gossiping with your friends about people that you quote unquote know. And it just brings me a lot of joy. What can I say? But watching the Amanda and West drama unfold, which is what I will be discussing today, and is what the entire Summer House drama is really about right now, reminded me how often we excuse emotional ambiguity in men. And I've got some observations to share from the episode. So first up is really around accountability and age. So Amanda said something really interesting. She said, haven't any of you been in a situation when you've liked someone you shouldn't have liked? And Lindsay said, yeah, in high school, not as adults in our 30s and some of them 40s. And I thought that really hit, because ultimately in this whole drama, we are adults. Everyone should know better, and you choose what you want to pursue. And if a relationship risks blowing up your closest friendships, I think that choice really fucking matters. And there's just such a huge accountability gap here. And it was funny because Amanda kept saying, I'm taking accountability. But none of her words beyond I'm taking accountability were reflecting the accountability, and none of her actions are reflecting that either. It felt like the thing you're meant to say when you don't actually want to say it. When you know your partner, you're in a fight with your partner and they're asking you to apologize, but you're like, I know I'm right. But you do this like half-assed apology. I'm the queen of that. Working on it. No one's perfect. But that is what this felt like, is I need to tick the box and say, I'm taking accountability. And then I'm good. Instead of actually taking accountability, which is much deeper than what she was portraying. So my second takeaway is I couldn't walk away, I think is so fucking untrue. So this sentiment of I'm not able to walk away from these feelings, essentially. And I think Sierra said it best. You choose not to pursue it. And this idea that you have no agency because your feelings are just so intense is just not reality. You can walk away, you can pause, you can create distance, but Amanda just didn't want to. And I really don't believe that walking away from someone that you potentially have feelings for is doing like a disservice to yourself. If being with that person is really going to fuck up all these relationships in your life, like if you're saying to yourself, I can't walk away from this person because it's doing such a disservice to me, then I think that's bullshit, because what is actually doing the disservice is choosing this person and ruining all the other relationships in your life. Now, my third takeaway is around performative confusion. So Amanda and West kept pushing the narrative. We were trying to figure out what this was. And that narrative does not add up. They shared that they hadn't slept together when they released the joint statement. And at that moment, they were still trying to figure out what these feelings were, which to me is fucking bullshit. You're really going to blow up your entire life to quote unquote figure out what these feelings are. And I just wish they could be honest. And this comes back to the accountability piece. But this in my perspective, and I think what a lot of the Summer House cast were kind of pushy on, is that this likely has been happening for way longer than they're both letting on. But neither of them wants to say that because it's going to make them look bad. So they're going with this narrative of we're just trying to feel out what this could be. But then that backfires with the narrative of, okay, so if you're trying to figure it out, why did you fuck over your best friend if it wasn't that deep? Because you guys didn't really know what it was. So if you didn't know what it was, why fuck over your best friend? So it seems like they're kind of stuck in this hard place. And I think the best way to bring people really back to you is to be totally brutally honest. And I think this piece around trying to figure out is this performative confusion, thinking that it's going to make people feel sorry for them and just this microscope they were under and how are they meant to figure out their feelings. But I think if you're willing to really blow up your real substantial relationships, both of them did that. It's not confusion. It's a full conscious decision. And I think people usually recover much faster from honesty than narrative management. And right now they are managing the narrative instead of coming in and being truly accountable and saying, we really fucked up. We did X, Y, and Z. I led this person on. I betrayed my best friend and my ex and all these things. It's just so icky to me, which leads to my fourth point, which is around unequal consequences. Speaking of ickiness. So the one thing that is driving me insane here is the consequence gap. Amanda is getting shredded publicly, and I don't feel like West is getting equal heat. I don't think Amanda is right. We all don't think that. But the imbalance is really obvious. And this is something that we always see across pop culture generally when it comes to women. And I am just so tired of it that women are held to a different standard than men. And ultimately, Amanda betrayed her best friend Sierra, but West also betrayed many of his very close friends. And I'm glad that Kyle has called that out a few times, saying, I was betrayed by West too, who was his very close friend. And there needs to be some equal consequences for both of them. I do not want fucking West having a redemption arc, I swear to God. And you kind of saw it as well with, I never followed the Sandoval drama, but I feel like Tom has come out of it better than the other girl he was with. I never followed it, so I don't know what her name is. But another example. Now, my fifth takeaway and my last takeaway, the avoidant man-child. West is such a loser, guys. It's unbelievable. The way West just sat there, not saying anything, not sticking up for his so-called partner, who he has these feelings for. And when he's interviewed, it's just this very meek kind of, I can't get my words out attitude. And I thought it was so interesting because Lindsay called out that she feels like it's just an act, and that I think that the fact she said that, they know better than any of us what he is doing. Because she said something like, I almost fell for it. Like, you're so good. You're so good. And I feel like my theory with him is that he gets unbelievably uncomfortable in these reunion episodes because he can't control the outcome or the narrative. I assume he probably is someone that thinks about all the potential outcomes of a scenario and tries to control those outcomes as best as he can. Which kind of makes sense as quote unquote journalist. Apparently I found out he's not really a journalist. He's like a content creator. So maybe a journalist is a stretch, but he definitely has this need to control the narrative. And I think in the reunion, you have zero control over that. And you're really facing the rest of the group head on. And you also have Andy, who's going to ask you the hard questions. So West sitting there trying to act like he was playing the good guy this summer just made me feel so sick. And seeing this just meek little man who clearly has massive avoidant attachment styles written all over him. And he's 100% going to fuck over Amanda just like he did with Sierra. And I think just watching it reminded me how easy it is to mistake inconsistency for complexity in a man. And if I'm being honest, I spent over a decade doing exactly that in my own dating life. And I thought anxiety meant chemistry, and I thought that this inconsistent man meant that there was more to him. And I'll tell you what, guys, it didn't. It meant I was repeating a pattern. Wrapping up my summer house kind of